when we see people who are fallen, I want to get this verse right because this is huge. You've dealt with this your whole life. I've seen it like people on television haven't seen. I've seen it uphand. I've seen it behind the scenes. So in the book, I also talk about the difference between sin in the Greek sense and trespass, where sin is a mistake or we didn't do something we should have or we didn't realize we did something wrong we did. A trespass is where someone knows something is wrong and does it anyway. There's a willing disobedience about a trespass, okay? So Paul says to the believers in Galatia, he says, even if a man is caught in any trespass, purposely doing something wrong, and he tells them what to do, what would we typically do in the church with someone who is caught in a willing, disobedient trespass?
We tend to rebuke, maybe kick them out. That can kind of be a tendency in a lot of churches.
That tends to be the reflexive thing. Like, ooh, Paul says, to you who are spiritual, which is a first condition, we have to be spiritual. He says, restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness. Imagine all those who are caught in trespass, whether they're believers or they're just lost. If we work to restore them to a relationship with God in a spirit of gentleness, instead of screaming at them or casting them out or shaming them or just judging them.
When you correct a child and call them stupid and dumb, can't do anything right, you've really set that child back. You haven't helped them. That's not gentleness. That's not teaching correctly. That's browbeating them, beating them down, and doing terrible damage to them, and probably more damage than the mistake they just made. So
here's the thing, that's an Old Testament precedent. You stone the one caught in sin. That is sort of the Old Testament way of thinking. So when Paul introduces this and says, no, you restore them in a spirit of gentleness, it was a pretty significant paradigm shift. And then he goes on and says, bear one another's burdens and thus fulfill the law of Christ. So now we've got this Old Testament law that seemingly set against the New Testament law. But what Paul's saying is that this is the way of Christ. When someone's caught in a trespass, you work to restore them to their relationship with God. And in doing so, you fulfill the law. So the priestly duty, which in the Old Testament, there was a restoring of the fallen. And in the New Testament, I believe it's a calling. I mean, when someone is caught in a sin and they're in a bad shape, the cops may show up, Child Protective Services may show up, counselors will show up. By golly, where are the Christians showing up? We should be going out to help these people and restore them.